of the Pakistan Blog Awards. My name is Rabia Garib, and on the line with me I've got somebody extremely special, somebody you've seen on Pakistani television, somebody you've heard, and somebody you've obviously, hopefully also interacted with online. Turi is the founder of Demotix.com. How are you, Turi?
Great to be speaking to you, Rabia. Thanks for bringing me on the call.
Yeah, and just so that people do actually believe me, where in the world am I talking to you from?
I'm sitting at the top of a 10-story block in West London, in Notting Hill Gate, looking out over a pretty grey, but not too cold, May afternoon.
Really? And it's not as wet as perhaps Simon Cowell keeps saying on TV?
Poor little shrinking violet that he is.
For anyone who doesn't know, what is Demotix all about?
Demotix is a very, very simple idea. Demotix launched about a year and a half ago. My background's a combination of politics and journalism. And what I've been seeing, as all of us unfortunately have been seeing over the last 10 years, has been this massive shrink in the kind of news that was reported all around the world. Journalists have been fired. There is the very, very big business concerns of many media outlets meant that they were covering more celebrity than serious news. And I was also involved in a whole bunch of free speech enterprises, predominantly in the Middle East, in the Arab Middle East, but also globally. And I was also very excited about the possibilities of creating a network which would allow people anywhere to tell the stories which they care about and to really interact with the 2.0 web from a news perspective. So what we did, we built a very simple platform called Demotix, D-E-M-O-T-I-X, where anyone, anywhere can upload their news, photos, stories, and videos. What we do is we host them, we take the best of that material, and we ship it out to the mainstream media all the way around the world. What we're building and what we've built is a kind of an Associated Press or a Reuters for freelancers, for amateurs, and for semi-professionals all over the world.
Well, wait a second. Now there's this problem of credibility that's going to keep cropping up, because if they're freelancers and not associated with a credible agency, how will anyone believe them? How do you take care of that?
We are exceptionally lucky insofar as our community is the community of 15,000 users on Demotix, 3,000 active users, profoundly committed to the kind of ideas that we all believe in, which is that talking truth is an important thing which needs to be done responsibly. We put a huge amount of reliance on our community, but the flip side is also that we check every single story which comes into Demotix for its veracity. We're checking the metadata in our images and in our video. We are comparing the stories that we get into Demotix with the stories we're hearing elsewhere on the web. We have long, ongoing relationships with so many of our contributors. We know who they are. They know who we are. We're a proper nurturing little HQ here in London. And so we're not entirely dissimilar to the big boys.
I think it was last year that you were on a whirlwind tour of South Asia, right?
I wish I could come. I wish I'd stayed longer, and I wish I could come back. Yeah, I spent 4 days in Karachi, the most fascinating 4 days of my trip around. I was in Bangladesh, Nepal, and India, both in Delhi and Mumbai, and spent 3-4 days in Karachi. Talked to Dawn TV, spoke at Dawn, spoke at the newspaper, met with the guys from Jung.
And I think a lot of bloggers also met up with you, and I believe you went out for a particularly spicy barbecue dinner, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly. Yeah? Unfortunately, it was televised. So I think far too many people watched me burn my tongue on some very, very spicy food on those fantastic little platforms outside those coffee shops.
From countries like Pakistan, which are just up and coming in terms of their blogosphere, what kind of a response does a platform like yours get?
Huge. I want to say something very potentially counterintuitive, but it is those countries which are supposed to be just budding now in the web and 2.0 space, that actually we get the most fantastic stories from. There is whether it's Pakistan or even Afghanistan, whether it's Thailand now, wherever it might be, where there are things to say, and whether there's a perceived political interference in media, Demotix really works as a magnet, and we have hundreds of contributors from Pakistan all over the country who've done amazing work for us and with us, and who use Demotix not just as a way where they can potentially make a little bit of money when we license their stories onto mainstream media, but actually as a way of getting news out into a global space. Pakistan, as I understand it, and the new media community in Pakistan is exceptionally active in talking amongst themselves. but it's also critical, especially in a country like Pakistan, which plays such an important role on the global stage now, to be getting those conversations out to a wider audience. And that's where I think Demotix plays, has the greatest use.
Where do you see citizen journalism versus mainstream journalism, or is it going to be an either/or is there ever going to be a convergence between the two?
I think there already is a complete convergence between the two. It's just we are still stuck with two misnomers, essentially. The idea that there is such a thing as pure citizen journalism or pure professional journalism doesn't really fly anymore. What you have is and I think we see this across the global space. The little I know of South Asian media works in the same way online, certainly in the US, certainly in Western Europe. This is the way things now work. There is a combination of skills required to produce news. Part of it is raw, sort of brutish news gathering, sort of chipping away at the coalface, and it goes from that all the way through to producing very, very tightly packaged final products, whether those are videos or documentaries or news broadcasts or frankly articles.
Right.
What we've seen and what we see more and more of is that the early stage, the kind of the rock face work, is being done by a combination of pros and ams across the entire space. We also see that even in the research, in the detailed research that often goes into building a proper investigative piece of reporting, we also see so-called citizens, non-professional journalists getting properly stuck into the process. You see that in the UK with a wonderful example, which was when the expenses scandal, which I'm sure you know about, broke in the UK, inculpating dozens and dozens of our MPs here. The Telegraph dripped the story out in highly measured, full, old-fashioned journalism way. And The Guardian, when they got the data, simply built a widget which they put online and asked what turned out to be over 20,000 citizens in the UK to get stuck into the whole business of figuring out whether their MPs had been fiddling or not.
Right.
It's a wonderful example of the sort of cross-fertilization and the use that pros can serve for amateurs or citizens, so far as they're able to publish and publicize stories which are important, and they're gatekeepers know it still. But it also shows exactly how so-called citizens can impact in the process of creating news. So I already see a complete convergence of these various different skills, and I don't see them anymore as divided between pros, the professional journalists, and amateurs. What you see is a news gathering process which includes an enormous number of people and a whole bunch of tools, many of which only come to us because the web is as powerful as it is.
We're honored to have you a part of the Blog Awards now. We've been talking about this for a while. So we're thrilled that you'll be able to do something, offer a more meaningful collaboration with more bloggers, because you said that there are lots of contributors already. But we're hoping that this process will also help to liaise more bloggers your way so that you can do exactly what we want. We want to happen here, which is let the citizens create the news and voice it out on platforms like yours.
We are super excited to be partnering with you guys. It's exactly the kind of partnership which really, really makes sense for us. What we're able to do is to, in a very, very, very hands-off way, to create a platform for people to tell their stories to a global audience. And the way we do that most effectively is by partnering with organizations like yours to get the word out that we exist, and to really start interacting with the very best of online, new, revolutionary, and often very brave journalists working around the globe. And in Pakistan, I have to say, particularly. Ravi, it's absolutely wonderful speaking to you. We're very much hoping that the Blog Awards go as well as they look like they're going. We're thrilled to be involved with the photo side, and of course now on the video side as well that we're engaged in. And yes, please do send as many people as care to get involved over to Demotix.com.
If any of you have any questions or comments for Turi or Demotix in general, please post them below this post, and Turi will make sure, sitting all the way from England as he is, to respond to them. Turi, again, thank you very much.
That'd be great to talk as ever.